welcome back everybody to another Danny Phantom review. Today we're talking about the episode King Tuck, and oh boy. This episode's fine. It's not as bad as some of the ones in Season 3, but it's also not amazing either. The plot of this one is that Tucker is running for class president, and he wants everyone to listen to his ideas and thoughts and stuff. Meanwhile, they go on a class trip to the museum where there's this, Pharaoh exhibit, and it turns out that Tucker looks exactly like an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. They end up unleashing a mummy ghost, who then thinks that Tucker is the, reincarnation of the pharaoh or whatever, and grants Tucker all these, magical powers, and he becomes an Egyptian pharaoh, and that's the rest of the episode. Eventually, it all culminates in Danny and Sam apologizing to Tucker that they didn't really listen to him, and that he felt like he wasn't being heard, and that they should have been better friends, and blah, blah, blah. Tucker kind of learns a lesson about not needing to be in charge or to rule or whatever. Danny and Sam get a perfectly, distinct arc in this episode, but, it's sort of unclear if Tucker really learns anything, because he's still kind of being a little bit of a jerk towards the end of the episode. This isn't an incredible episode here. There isn't a whole lot to it. It's not one of my favorites, and it's just kind of exists. It's one of the few Tucker-focused episodes which could be interesting, but they just don't really have much to say about Tucker. He works perfectly well as a supporting character, but in the few episodes that focus on him, they're usually on the weaker end. Tucker's a fun character, but I don't think they ever really figured out how to make him more interesting, or develop him in any unique ways. The most I can think to say about this episode is that the idea that Tucker kind of wants to be in charge, or in some kind of leadership role, does kind of come back in the finale, but it's not something that's really been established in the series before this episode, so that is a little bit of a stretch. This one also kind of falls into this pattern I'm starting to notice of sort of the second half of Season 2 episodes, where the first half of the episode, they're dealing with a real-world, high school problem that has ghost elements in the background, and then the second half of the episode, the ghost elements take over completely, and it's just about trying to figure out how to solve that problem. Like the last episode, Beauty Marked, is all about the beauty pageant for the first half until they end up in ghost medieval times for the second. This episode is about the class presidency for the first half until it's about them in ghost ancient Egypt. The beauty pageant episode works a little bit better because at least it has something that it's trying to say, where this episode is just kind of another generic adventure where Danny and his friends learn a generic message about friendship. And the half and half structure I don't feel works as well as most of the episodes from the first season, where they switch back and forth between there's a ghost problem that we're trying to solve, and there's a real world problem we're trying to solve. I gotta study for a test, but there's a ghost attacking, and the time is spent equally on both those things throughout the episode, instead of just kind of the first half of the episode is about something relatable, and then it goes off the rails and is about something completely different, and the thing from the beginning is barely even relevant, except for maybe a small epilogue at the end of the episode. That's about it. There's not a whole lot more to this episode. There's a new mummy ghost, who comes back in one or two episodes, I think. Dash has a couple good moments. He's running for class president as well against Tucker, and his platform is basically just, I will beat you up if you don't vote for me, which is pretty funny. And then there's a moment later on in the episode.
Doing manual labor for a geek we used to make fun of? This isn't supposed to happen until we're 30!
But other than that, there's some good music in this episode, some Egyptian-influenced variations on the main score. Which is kind of cool. Other than that, a mostly forgettable episode. So we'll see you next time, I guess. And that's about it. Bye-bye.